the old paradigm is everybody loses it. You don't mean what you say. Sometimes you have to put people in their place. You know, no, uncompromising safety, because if I don't feel safe with you, then I don't trust you.
Welcome to Wild and Finally Fucking Free, hosted by me, soul-fueled storyteller Kylie Fatchett. We dive into the truth-talking, unedited stories of metamorphosis, growth, and evolution. I deeply believe that sharing our stories holds transformative magic. Join us to listen to future humans, change agents, extraordinary ordinary people, healers, and paradigm shifters as we honor the power of our messy, magical stories. Let's get wild and finally fucking free together. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the podcast. I have one of the most significant paradigm shifts to chat to today with our beautiful guest, Lisa Merlo-Booth. Hello, Lisa. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm so excited to be here. How you
I am too. I am too. So we met a little while ago, and one of the things that really hit me about your work is that you are truly challenging some of the biggest paradigms and some of the biggest systems of oppression that I have ever come across. And in a nutshell, I'm going to summarize how I would explain your work in the world. So Lisa is someone who specializes in helping couples, individuals, teams, organizations to relate in healthy ways through things like having courageous communication, understanding how to deal with conflict, which is such a big thing that people don't do very well. And when we started talking about your messaging, what blew my mind, because this is like my sweet spot in the world, is how radically different what you do and how you approach relationships and relationship therapy. So I'm so excited for this conversation because I'm like, oh my God, we need to get this out to millions more people. So welcome. I'm really excited that you're here.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. And I'm so glad you're doing this in general. Like just yeah,
So
creating
good.
change.
Creating change, exactly. And I think when we don't know, we talked about this when we were doing messaging work, we don't know what ocean we're swimming in a lot of the time. So we are currently swimming in an ocean that has, we're going to call it the holy trinity of clusterfuckery. Let's just put it out there. So patriarchy, actually, you tell us. So the patriarchy, gender socialization norms, I can't even think of the third one off the top of my head, but there's big forces at play that influence the way that, and I'm using air quotes for people who aren't watching the video, boys, are conditioned, girls are conditioned, which then goes on to these enormous damaging issues for men, women, families, organizations, everybody in the world. So what is the holy trinity of clusterfuckery? That's what I'm going to call it.
Patriarchy, gender socialization, and misogyny. And they all go together, right? And it's really it's a sham that we've all bought into that is harming all of us. There's been a huge undertaking by women saying, we have to change how we step in, and this has harmed us. And I'll tell you, it has not only harmed women. That's just like really what we talk about, but it is so harmful to men as well, and to families, and any gender identity is very harmful, and it's super antiquated. And at the same time, it is so ingrained. It's literally like the water we swim in, and we don't even know we're swimming.
That's what I feel like. I like to think of myself as a fairly aware person, but as we were doing our work together, I was like, oh my God, this really does have far-reaching consequences. And I'm actually, it was interesting learning about you and your messaging. And then I've got my younger daughter has just started in a very male dominated industry, and that's not new for her. Like she did heavy diesel mechanicking for a year, then she did carpentry for a
Oh
year.
my
So
goodness, that's
she does,
so male
yeah,
dominated, but
exactly. Yeah. So
yeah,
and I think there's a part of her that likes to like give the finger to the people who assume that as a young female she can't do X, Y, and Z.
yeah,
But
yeah.
far out already, like this is only week 3. And already it's things like she backed a trailer the other day and she got a comment about, wow, you really can back a trailer. And I was thinking, if that was a 19-year-old, no, not 19, 18-year-old male,
Yeah.
it wouldn't even be something that people noticed or something that
Right.
people, and so it's this automatic kind of, oh, well, if you're a girl, you can do X, Y, and Z. And if you're, well, I shouldn't say girl and boy, like male or female. And I know that we are talking about this impacts all gender
Everybody.
identifications.
Yep.
Um, let's start from the very beginning. So one of the phrases that you use is like man up, shut down. And actually, that's not the words that you use, but can you talk to us about
Man up, emotionally shut down. Yeah.
emotionally shut down? Thank you. Um, when we are like, we even talked about when people see a little girl versus a little boy and the language that they use. Can we start at the very freaking beginning? And then I want to talk about the paradigm, because you have a radically different approach to relationships. But I want to start at the like, where's the damage coming from in the first place? The clusterfuckery. And then let's talk about the paradigm.
Really, I would say from the moment we're born,
Mm-hmm.
we are, I've had parents with a baby boy, literally a baby boy, and they'd be like, doesn't he look like a football player? Look how tough he looks. Or, oh, look at, he's a little player already. Look at him flirting. And I'm
Oh,
like, no, 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 right? I've had parents with their 4-year-old boy when he cried just go after him. You are not a crybaby. You stop those tears.
yep.
What we don't understand. And then with little girls, be nice. That's not nice,
Oh,
honey. Be nice. Oh, look, and looking at little girls' weight and,
mhm.
you know, and, first off, we have to understand you can't tell little boys from their time they're born to be tough, man up, suck it up. You got to be stronger. Don't be a crybaby without literally training them to not feel.
Yep.
They got to shut down their emotions because
Mm-hmm.
let me tell you, everybody, surprise, boys are born with tears.
Yeah.
Boys are born with emotions and with feelings, and babies have all of them, no matter what your gender is. So we
Mm-hmm.
train these little boys to not talk about it, not
Mm.
express it, not notice it, don't feel it. Well, if you have to man up an emotion down, guess what you're losing? You're losing your ability to have empathy for others.
Yep.
If you can't have empathy for others, you can't connect with others.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think that kills these boys and families and marriages?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Man,
And as you're talking, like, I think like you released a video yesterday on Instagram that really had me thinking about like, we understand when we say the patriarchy, and I use the word when I reshared your video, patriarchy bashing, in terms of it is most often to do with the damage it's done to females. But when we were doing our work, you were talking about the end point of, so let's fast forward from the boy who's told, oh, doesn't he look like a footballer? And every time he shows any emotion, and actually there is a couple that are okay. You can be angry
yes,
generally, and you
yes,
can show dominance or power grabbing,
yes,
because that's what that's what you're told being a man is,
yes,
deal with it, be in power, be in authority,
yes.
be in whatever. So let's fast forward though. This little boy grows into a man. He finds a partner,
Mhm.
and that partner may also be playing out her be nice, don't say what you really need, be passive aggressive, you can't, bloody bloody, like all of the things that
Yeah,
females are taught.
yeah,
And then the female finally, maybe, well, either one of them, but someone decides that this is not working.
yeah.
They end up in your office, and you were talking to me about like, these men are blindsided. blindsided by the fact that the way they have been taught to be in the world does not make them available to be in a truly equal, intimate
Yeah.
relationship where everyone feels safe, by definition.
Totally. A lot of these men are shocked because they'll say, I'm a nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm listening to what they're doing. And I'm like, no, you're not a nice guy.
Mm-mm.
And you've been dismissing her and shutting her down. And, you know, I was just talking to a man the other day, and it was so fascinating because he's like, you know, well, she's not being dramatic. And I'm like, well, what do you mean by dramatic? And he was like, well, she'll just, you know, this one woman will just tell me what she's upset with, and then it's done. This woman will tell me what she's upset with, and she keeps going and going and going. And I'm like, so hold on a second. What you did was you broke their heart. So what I'm hearing is you just don't want to have them hold you accountable, and you don't want to see the impact of the damage that you did.
Yeah.
And so you want to shut that down.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you want connection. You
Yeah.
can't have both.
They're like
And you're
polar
going,
opposites.
right. And you're going, men are going often for sex. They want more sex from their wives. They want, wives want more emotional intimacy, right?
Yeah.
The wives are like, if I'm feeling connected to you, I want to be more sexual with you.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
And the
Yeah.
men are like, well, if you're giving me more sex, then maybe I'll be more emotionally connected. The problem, though, what we do with men, and when men come in my office, they see this. They, especially when their wives are leaving. If I have a couple where their wives are saying they're going to leave and the men want to stay,
Mm-hmm.
the wives are like, I need emotional connection. And the men are like, holy shit, I don't know what that means. I want to
Yeah.
give it to you, but I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
And it's sad because not only do they not know how to do it, but we have trained it out of them. Right?
Yes.
It's not like this guy's cold or he's mean or he's bad. It's literally that we have trained it out of them. And then they get into a marriage and they get into a relationship and they start creating a family.
Mm.
And they're like, well, wait a second. And sometimes they're the only like close friendship that they have, or the only like person that they kind of can talk to on some level is their
Mm-hmm.
wives. And they're doing it so minimally that then if they lose their wives, they often lose their kids too, because they
Mm-hmm.
don't know how to stay in contact with the kids.
Yeah.
And they're on an island by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then our world is like, man up, you're good, you're strong. It's like, no, what are you doing to this man? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Because why? Like, what is the whole purpose here?
Mm.
As human beings, we want love and connection. Men want it too, by the way.
Yeah, not just the females.
Not just the females. And we shut it down, and then the women enable it, and they go along and they do all these things. But it's a setup for everybody. And then our children watch us do it. And then they
Exactly.
repeat it,
Repeat it
right?
or rebel against it, but they can go in the too far in the other
Yes.
direction, like we also
Or they
talked
go the,
about.
yeah.
Yeah, like
Right.
and maybe the daughter I just mentioned possibly might be, you know, like, and
Right.
I did it as a youngster. We talked about this. You know,
Yes.
my way of dealing with this system of clusterfuckery, and particularly I look back at when I was about 25, I was the general manager of a medical company, and my direct report bosses were 50 to 60-year-old thoracic physicians. So specialists, lots of money, white guys, very, very
In one
educated.
up power over. Yeah.
Oh
Specialists in the power
my
over.
goodness.
Yeah.
And so my way of, like, I was actually asked, like, this was only the 90s, and I know that's a long time ago, in some ways, but I was actually asked how quickly I would have a bun in the oven in my interview. And back
Wow.
then, that was so normal. Like, I was leaving a job
Yes.
because my boss in forensic told me and I quote, tits were too big and my opinion too loud to get anywhere in his lab. So I was trying to leave one environment that was run on,
Wow. Just slow that down for
I know,
me.
I know.
people, what the
Disgusting, hey?
hell is that? Like, what is that?
Absolutely disgusting. But it
And
was so normal.
so normal, and it still is. I wish it wasn't. We're going backwards now. There's a bigger pressure to
Mm.
go do more of that and more instead of like, anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go
No, no,
ahead.
no. That's what,
But that's
because,
like, I think we need to slow down. I think people need to stop and hear, take
yeah.
it in.
Hmm.
Take it in. Imagine your mother's told that, your sister's told that, your daughter is told that.
Yes.
We have to let it hit us.
Oh my goodness. If that was my daughter, I would want to be ripping someone's throat out. But yet then what my response to that was, and so I was leaving that job and I'm in this interview being asked how quickly I'll fall pregnant, and not even like now, if someone asked that, I think like my daughters would be like, I beg your pardon, you can't ask that, and they would know where the invisible line is. But like you say, I think it's still happening. It's just behind a curtain of
Yeah. Yeah.
political correctness or something. But yeah,
Well, that,
my response as a young woman was, I just have to man up. Like, I
yes.
have to be more aggressive. I have to be more like,
Yeah.
no, it wasn't
Yeah.
assertive. It was aggression. It was flat out aggression. That was and I have to work more hours and I have to prove myself. And when they, when I get those rude comments or the complete, just, yeah, because I was taking over from a guy as well who was part of the guys club. So, oh God. Anyway, where I was going was, our kids are watching and they're either repeating the patterns or they're trying to rebel, but like I did, rebel often at the extreme end of the pendulum in the other direction. And
Yeah.
what that did to me, exactly what it does to men, is I became so disconnected from who I was and what I wanted and where I was emotionally. I was
Right.
so burnt out. My God, only gave me 2 years there, and I was trying to fall pregnant. My body was like, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. This is not a safe place. um,
Yeah. It's like we forget about the humanity part of things. I was talking to a male client, and I was saying, who, like, he was talking about all of his credentials and all that he's
mhm.
done. He was talking
Oh,
about his dad's credentials and all that his dad has done. And I said, so slow down for a minute.
hmm.
I want you to ask yourself, what kind of man do you want to be? I'm hearing all these credentials, and I hear you when you talk about your dad, about all the things that he did, the money he made, the positions he did. He was very high up, and
Power, status,
stop.
money, power.
Yeah. What kind of man do you want to be? And he's like, what?
I don't even
Wow.
understand the
I've
question.
never asked myself that question. And I said, you need to ask yourself that question because you're stuck right now and you're making pretty selfish choices that are impacting a lot of people. And you think, but I've done all these things. I'm doing great. You got to stop and recalibrate. What kind of
Mhm.
man do you want to be?
Yeah.
And if you're okay with being a man who, on the external,
Yes.
kind of picture, you checked all the box, but internally, people are like, he was a son of a bitch,
Yeah.
then okay, you get to decide that, but don't decide by not deciding. Stop,
Oh,
slow down, think.
that's
Because
such a good
your sons are
example.
learning from you, your
Hmm.
daughters are watching you. At your gravesite, what are they thinking?
Yeah. What's the
Slow
legacy
down.
you're leaving? Like, what
Yeah,
what do
who
you
do you want to
actually?
be?
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's so interesting, isn't it? Because yeah, the money, power, status, power over, as you said before, they're all of the ways that are reinforced that it's okay to be. And I know that we're using the terms male and female, and we're using them because what we're talking about are systems that have been around for generations and generations, and we're also talking about families of people that have been repeating the patterns of generations and generations. So this is always coming with the caveat of, we understand that there's not just male and female, and there's not just people that identify as male and female. I think for me, as you're talking, what becomes clearer and clearer is that so much of this is just the way we've been conditioned and therefore is unconscious. We're swimming in the ocean.
Yeah.
I imagine that when you ask that question, I kind of can see the look of like puzzlement on this guy's face. It's like, well, I don't even understand the question. Like, I don't. And you shared a few stories as we were working on messaging together. And so often the guy is like, I didn't even know that this was a choice for me or that it was available to me because I didn't see it. I'm not in a society that shows me it. By definition, I've accumulated other friends and other people around me that have the same value system. So if I'm the one that wants to tick the boxes and get the money and get the fancy car and get the house and then get the CEO job or whatever, I often am also interacting with other people who also value those things.
Right.
So then my values are reinforced. I'm interested when you think back, because you've been doing this work with couples for a long, long time. So how many decades are we talking? Because I'm interested in
Probably, 25 to 30 years.
yeah. So
Yeah.
and so much time in, and when you were sharing some of the stories of, actually, would you mind, because we can keep it very de-identified. There's one story that you told me that really stuck in my head, and it was basically you were very fresh out of having done training. Yeah, do you want to tell that story? Because I think it really demonstrates how this clusterfuckery like impacts a family unit and rolls through being repeated. Hey gorgeous, we interrupt this gold for a delicious invitation. If your whole body has been whispering more lately, more voice, more truth, more satisfaction, more clients of the soulmate variety, more cash, more you, then this invitation is for you. Potent, my sister mind is officially open. This is my high touch, holy fuck, I'm ready sister mind for rebels in good girl clothing who are done outsourcing their power and diluting their magic to fit into someone else's business formula. If you have been craving a space where your strategy, your voice, and your energy all get to be offered, honored, refined, and amplified, this is it. Inside of Potent, you'll get my eyes on your business every single week, copy mentoring, and that is for brand copy and content storytelling that turns your truth into client catnip, energetic recalibration that helps you unhook old learned limitation patterns, keeping you quiet, not being seen, not being heard, real-time, high-touch, one-on-one coaching that actually sees the bigness of your vision, and the kind of sisterhood that does not flinch when you show up in your full, messy, brilliant, phoenix rising from the ashes glory. This isn't surface level support. It's deep, potent, paradigm shifting work that changes who you are as a woman in business and a woman in life. We start in August. Early open access is open right now. For the month of June 2025, inside of this early access open doors period, you will receive juicy bonuses, extended payment plans, and access immediately to my entire library of storytelling gold. You'll find all the juicy details at kyliePatchett.com/potent. And we fill spaces, and there's only 10 of them, and more than likely only 5 by the time you listen to this, because by that time I will have offered them to the existing cohort, the beautiful original OG circle. We do actually take applications on a first come, first served basis. So come and apply, and let's get back to the magic of the episode.
So when I was one of my first jobs, I was doing home-based therapy, and I was doing home-based therapy with families that were involved with social services usually due to a 51A, which is abuse, or an acting out adolescent, or, social services was involved.
Yeah.
And this one family I was going in, and the kid was about 16, and he was, acting out and aggressive and, punching holes in walls. And he was, breaking into houses, like just really out of control. And the first session, we're sitting at the kitchen table and with the mom, the son, and the father, and they're telling me about his anger. And I said, so I'm curious, who else in this family rages and has intense anger? And everybody got really, really quiet.
Oh, I've got
And
goosebumps,
this,
Lisa.
right. And the son said, my dad. And I looked at him and I said, you cannot ask your son to do something at 16 that you are not able to do at 40. And as soon as I said that, I was like, oh shit. Because this is the problem with therapists and our training is very much do not take sides.
Yes.
Don't take sides. So I'm very young, and naturally I'm like, and so then I remember going to a supervision group, and there was my, he became my mentor, and he was like giving us permission to take sides. And I'm like, oh, thank God, because that's my natural. And so,
Yes.
and then I just was like, there was also a part of me that, when I was young, my dad was a rager, right? And so it so pissed me off that nobody took him on. And they'd go to therapy, and it's like 50-50. And I'm like, oh my God, like, it's not helping. And then I have all these couples coming in, and the women are like, the only thing that the women are doing, and again, you can switch roles, because I've seen women who are very aggressive and the men don't take on the women. I will say that as a culture, we train men more to move in power over, and women more to shrink and not take men on.
Correct.
However, there are women who do the same, and the men are scared. So whoever's in that position. And so then I'm watching this, and I'm like, this whole model that we teach therapists about play 50-50 and don't take sides. Oh my God, what a damaging model that is. Because what am I going to do? This woman, what she's not doing, she's shrinking. He's raging at her. And let me just do a caveat. I'm not talking about physical abuse. That's a whole different thing. But like her biggest problem is that she's scared and she's not setting limits with him. He's way more off. And I have to deal with that. I've got to call him out. And when he's doing that, he, again, goes back to family. It goes back to our culture and the messages. When he is raging at her, he is totally shut down about the impact of his rage on her. Why? Because from 5 years of age, we taught him not to feel. We said, man up, shut your emotions down, and move in power over others. So his wife says something, calls him out, says she doesn't like something. He immediately feels like he's being attacked. He's going to shut her down. Who the hell are you to call me out? And now, and then therapists collude with that. And they're like, well, hold on, let's hear both sides. And I'm like, hell no. Because you're paying me to help your marriage. And I am not going to shut her down or ramp you up or shut you down, by the way. I don't want to shut men down any more than I want to shut women down. I want both men and women coming in and literally building connection rather than destroying it. And I need whoever I need to move to be safe. You get safe. And so anyway, and therapists need to do that, and they don't. And it's wreaking havoc everywhere.
Well, we were talking about this a little bit earlier. What is happening in a traditional model? Because if we are telling these people power over is acceptable, and then we're not keeping someone accountable when they get into a power over situation and they're completely disconnected from what that is doing to everyone else in the environment.
And to them, by the way.
And to them, yes. And to them. It's continuing to to reinforce this damaging pattern.
Yeah.
And then in a traditional therapy session, what you're being trained to do is actually enabling this to continue.
Yes.
And so traditional therapy, I don't think it's too far, in my mind at least, to say traditional therapy is just enabling the system of oppression that created the issue in the first place. And
Absolutely.
this is why people will go to relationship therapists and nothing really changes, or one person is open to being there because they're not being called out and they're not being held accountable and they're, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And when people end up with you, often they've gone to many different, you know, either many different sessions or many different therapists. And
Yeah.
I just love the fact that, like, when you were talking to me about your approach, like your secret sauce, I talk about it when I'm, you know, when I am working with a paradigm shifter. You basically said to me, my job in the first little while of that first big 3-hour session that you spend with people is figure out who I wouldn't want to live with the
Right.
most and go
Yeah.
after them. And not
Yeah.
go after them as in an aggressive thing, but as in a, let's call out the fact that this behavior is the main source of everything else that's happening here, and
Right.
then work to that. And so can you tell us, when you do that in a session, particularly if it's a pattern where people have gone to therapists before and maybe they're expecting you to be same old, like, you know, what
Yeah.
happens when you when you do
Well,
call someone out?
it's interesting because you know, one couple, they had been to several therapists,
Mm-hmm.
many times, and I'm listening to their story and I'm listening to what's going on, and he's like, you know, I'm a nice guy, and he's like, she's crazy to live with, she's so hard, and I'm listening and I'm listening, I'm listening, and I stopped. You know, I gathered, like, you know, the first hour and a half, and then I
Mm-hmm.
looked at him and I said, this is going to be really hard for you to hear, but here's the thing, here's what I'm stuck with. You keep saying you're a nice guy,
Mm-hmm.
but everything that I'm hearing today is that you are anything but a nice guy. And you're stepping in this marriage in a way that is so hurtful and harmful. It is not the identity that you think you are.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're coming in saying, I want to leave this. And I'm like, whoa. If I lined up 100 healthy women, 99 of them would say, damn, I can't live with him.
No.
And he stopped and he, you know, he paused, and I was like, what's it like to hear that?
Mm.
And he said, honestly, I'm really angry. I'm angry that we've been to so many therapists and you're the first one who's told me this. And I said, you know what? You should be. You should be.
Yeah.
And he, like, really, he really changed. And part of it is like, he wanted to feel good about himself. He wanted to, like, he's he didn't want to be a jerk. He didn't want to be
Mm.
like, this is how he was raised. He didn't even see it, right?
No.
And so he really, like, came around, and he's like, all like, he's doing great work, and but he's also bumping up against the fact, and he, you know, he said this, he's like, you know, the world doesn't work like this.
Mm-mm.
My friends don't have conversations like this.
No.
I'm like, I know, I know.
Yeah.
And it's like, now, like, stepping in differently, there's such a huge difference. And it's fun. I have to say this funny thing that's happening with me.
Yeah.
So I worked with one gentleman for, you know, several years, and he's like in, you know, very conservative state, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He sends me another friend, and they're all like very conservative, you know,
Yeah.
like very successful, just the traditional, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he sends me another friend, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, why are you coming to me? Right? You know? And so it's so funny. And then they'll be talking to each other. Hey, did you talk to Lisa today? You know,
Oh,
and
so good.
one of them's like, Lisa, you have to do a workshop for men in Texas. And I'm like, trust me, men in Texas do not want me doing a workshop for them. But there's something that they're hearing and seeing, and it's resonating with them. Why? Because they're in pain
Yeah,
too,
exactly.
right? Like, one of the men I was like, and I say this to men, women, everybody. I'm like,
Mm,
listen, here's the thing. The rules for one are the rules for both.
yeah.
Men, you get to ask for your needs and wants. This
Yes.
happy wife, happy life bullshit,
Oh my
no.
God.
No, man, I don't
Totally.
want you happy wife, happy life. That's you doing your duty.
Yes.
I want men and women, gender neutral, whatever
Yes.
I want everybody coming in as equals.
Yeah.
I want your needs and your upsets discussed and
Mm-hmm.
brought about just like theirs. And I want you to be courageously accountable. And I want her or him to be courageously accountable.
Yeah.
Rules for one are rules for both. But this old paradigm, which is crazy that we still have it because it's so antiquated. I
Yeah.
mean, it's from, I don't, the beginning of time is all about inequality. It's all about power. It's all about don't talk about your needs. Like it's
Yeah.
so unhealthy, but it runs all of us
Mm.
and it kills all of us. We
Yeah.
have to change our paradigm. We
Yeah.
have to.
It's such a because really the whole paradigm, it's like any system of oppression. By definition, someone wins, someone loses.
Yeah.
Someone has more power, someone has less power.
Yeah.
Someone has their surface needs met, like
Yeah.
power, stigma, money, whatever,
Yep.
but not their true needs met. And all that does is because then we're saying to men, oh, and I'm actually noticing it a lot in people of my age that are what a lot of my friends' relationships where we get to the stage as women where kind of midlife, you're starting to go through that perimenopause thing, the estrogen's starting to drop. So your accommodation hormone is literally leaving the building. You might have done your kind of like intense day-to-day parenting. And then there's a few people in my circles that have found themselves looking around. And I'm like, I'm not fucking available for this shit anymore. Like all of a
Yeah.
sudden, it's like they
Right.
get to capacity, right? And it's all about, you know, he's doing the wrong thing. And it's like we are all living in an ocean that's doing this damage. It's not
Yeah.
just your relationship. It's not unusual for the woman to have done like some of the self-development-y things and self-awareness and that sort of thing and feel like they're married to someone who's not moving forward. And I'm again using air quotes, but we we're setting them up to fail because they're not trying to move forward because they've been sold this lie that the way to be successful or to be a man the right way is to do these things which all disconnect you. So
Right.
of course you're not going to be looking for any development if you're disconnected from how you're freaking feeling in the first place.
Right. Well, and for women or whoever's on that side of the
Mm.
aisle, they're taught that my worth and my worth, like I need to sex up and dummy down.
Yes.
And so I got to get thinner. And I see a lot of women our
Mm.
age. What are they doing? They're like getting super thin and they're
Yep.
doing boob jobs and they're doing
Mm-hmm.
facelifts and they're
Mm-hmm.
doing, right? Women who are divorced, what are they doing? They're running. I've heard so many clients. Well, I got to prove I still got it. And so what are they doing? They're trying to get men,
Oh.
right? Because again, it's the water we swim in.
Yeah.
My worthiness is, do I get are men attracted to me, right? I got to look more beautiful and more thin and I have to be nice and I have to not upset the apple cart and all this
Yes.
stuff. And then the other thing that's driving me a little bit crazy goes a little bit back to what you're saying.
Mm.
Women are like, screw this, I'm not taking it anymore.
Mm.
And then they become the men of yesterday, or
Yes.
they go on the opposite side, right? And we can't have that. We
Mm.
can't just like flip roles. I see so many women, and I'm hearing it more and more in the 20 and 30-year-olds under the guise of women saying, I get to honor my sexuality and I want to hold my sexuality. Well, they're becoming the players of yesterday.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
just becoming male players. And then I hear a lot of them, well, I'm tired of men cheating. I'm tired of getting hurt. So they start doing it. It's like, wait a second.
No one
Look
wins
at what
here.
you're doing, right? Like, look at what you're doing. Raise the bar on you,
Yeah.
on others, on our culture.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's getting hurt.
Yeah.
Everybody. It broke my heart one time. Like, really, this was so sad to me. I was working with a man and they had just separated.
Mhm.
And he was living in an apartment by himself for 3 weeks, depressed, crying, super upset. He had close friends from like decades,
Mhm.
never knew.
No,
And I'm like, what do you mean? Are you talking to them? He's like, we don't talk like that.
no.
Oh my God. And then I worked with another man and he was like that, but he had done a lot of work.
Mhm.
And then one of a close friend's like child died. And he's like,
Yes, I wanted
I
to
am
come back to
so
this.
thankful for the work that I've done because I never could have met my friend in this.
Yes.
And oh my God, men, you deserve to be met emotionally. You deserve, like, I don't care how shut down you are.
Yeah.
You can run as fast as you can, as far as you want. But to your core, you are a human being who
Yeah.
has feelings and has emotions. And when you are alone, and I've said this to men before, I would hate to be at your funeral and nobody's there. You've lost your wife,
Yeah.
you've lost your kids, you don't have close friendships. Your business partners are there because they feel like, well, I have to, it's got to look good. But
Yeah.
like, we owe it to men and women and anybody on wherever you are on the gender, we owe it to humanity. We got to do better and we got to slow down and look at why we're making choices that we're
Yeah,
making.
exactly. Slow down. And it really, like when we were talking, it's a change that needs to happen everywhere at the same time. And how do you do that? But having these conversations at least is waking people up. And I think for me, as you're talking, I keep coming back to this one thing that you said, and it's really stuck in my heart when we're talking about the things that you help people access. So there's 4 kind of central pillars, and when we're talking about the before and after of them, the after of all of these things happening well, and we'll talk about what they are as well, but is that everyone feels safe and
Yeah.
met and seen. And you use the word cherished, which that's one of my favorite words. Like
Um,
it's not that feeling of taking for granted or walking on eggshells, or I don't talk to my husband about that because he's not even available to have those intimate kind of emotional conversations. It's I feel at home, I want to be at home, and I mean home as in a state, not a place.
yeah.
But I feel safe and I feel seen, and we're both rooting for each other. Like we're both here wanting the best for each other.
Right. It's, literally and figuratively, it feels good to be home.
Mm.
My home is my respite.
Mm-hmm.
My husband comes in, I know he feels psyched to come home as much as I do,
Yeah.
right? Because this is our safe space. Our children know
Mm-hmm.
this is your safe space. I've got you.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we don't have conflict. That doesn't mean everything's perfect. It means I know that even in the worst of times, you've got my back. I've
Yeah.
got yours.
Yes.
You respect, we're both equal. Like we genuinely are equally worthy to each other and we respect that. We're both safe. We can have an argument and I know like I'm not going to be hurt. Like you're not going to rage or scare me. I'm not
Yes.
going to rage or scare you. I'm not going to undercut you. Like
Mm-mm.
and not to say I might not have a bad moment and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to repair.
Yes.
Why? Because you're my people
Yeah.
and because we deserve it. And
Yeah.
I don't want to live in what I grew up in. It wasn't enough. And I don't want my children to live in that.
No.
And we all deserve better and we have to do better.
It's such a as you're talking, I am having a physical body reaction to what you're saying. And what I'm feeling is it's just that openness of my chest and my heart. I don't have any weight on my shoulders. And I just feel like I can relax and just be
Yeah.
myself. So there's no need to have walls up. There's no, um, I don't know. So it's the opposite of that sense of obligation. And I definitely did not have great role models of like my parents were 27 years apart. Not a good
Yeah.
idea, people.
Right.
Not a good idea.
Yes.
a good
Which
idea.
I am seeing all the time right now, older men and
Mm.
very young women, and like, what? Anyway,
Well, I mean, if you have a poor relationship with your father, what's one of the ways that you can
right.
deal with that, right? My
Exactly.
dad was older than my grandparents, so that puts
Wow.
a little spin on it for you. I used to
Wow.
win those competitions like Truth and Dare, like two truths and a
Yeah.
dare, and I'd always say, "My dad's older than my granddad," and people would go,
Right.
"False," and I'd be like, "True, I win." But I
Yeah.
think as you're talking, like what I saw in my home environment was someone who was, had been brought up in a very power over household and had been taught as the oldest daughter, I'm talking about my mum, that she had no power.
Yeah.
And so I grew up with a very, how do I put this the most generously and compassionately, a woman who was very emotional and needed to be taken care of in that way. And I
Yeah.
and I feel like that's kind of one of the many ways that this can, you can have, like you had a rager, so that I imagine makes you very careful about what you say and what, so you are feeling like, you're living behind a wall so that you don't, trigger
Right.
that. I learned that I had to take care of someone's emotions. So again, that's not a healthy way of doing things. And I just think when we're having these conversations, we need to acknowledge that most of us have never had an experience of this type of relationship.
Oh,
Most
so
of us don't
true.
have a reference point.
There are very few examples in the world in most people's lives,
Mm,
and that's okay. Give yourself compassion. Of course, we don't know. What the hell? Oh my God, I'm
yes.
figuring it out, right?
Yes.
And we have to do better,
Mm,
right? It's like, I have a saying that we know what we lived
mm-hmm.
and we live what we know until we
Mm,
know better.
yes.
And so
Oh, I love that.
So,
Mm,
can we take a moment and talk about what's better? Like, what is the better? What
yes.
is that? What's that vision?
Yeah.
Um, because this is the paradigm shift, right? We got to go rather than power over, it's power from within, right? And so
Yes.
there are four core pillars to this. And if you don't have any of these in your relationships, I'm telling you, you're not going to get to, feels good to come
It's
home.
home. Yes.
Like, I feel so honored. I feel like I'm confident, like we're both worthy. You're not dismissing me. And so the first one, it always starts with uncompromising safety.
Yes.
Uncompromising safety. Physical, sexual, psychological, emotional safety.
Mm-hmm.
And the old paradigm is everybody loses it. You don't mean what you say. Sometimes you have to put people in their place. You know, no, uncompromising safety, because if I don't feel safe with you, then I don't trust you. If I don't trust you, I can't be intimate with you,
No.
right? I can't tell you what's going on for me. And if I'm not, intimacy is intimacy, you see. I'm
Yes.
I'm going to tell you what I think you want to see because I don't feel safe with you, right?
Yep.
So we're not two, individuals who are really getting to know each other and trusting each other. So you don't have uncompromising safety, you can't go anywhere in your relationship. You have to know that.
No.
That's number one. The second pillar is genuine equality. Don't tell me we're equal, but then you dismiss me and you don't listen to my opinions and my thoughts and
Yes.
don't matter. Or I tell you, oh yeah, you're equal. I respect you, but your thoughts, opinions, and feelings, I shut them down. I don't think they're important. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so sensitive. Or who do you think you are
Mm.
saying that? Or like
Mm-hmm.
all of these dismissive, or you give me an allowance, but we're a couple. And then you say,
Oh,
that's not genuine equality, right? So we're either equal in every way, not just in words, or we're not. You
yeah.
may make more money, and this goes the other way. If one spouse is working in the world and
Mm-hmm.
bringing home the money, and the other spouse is working at home, if I'm out in the world, I don't get to control all that money. You and I are figuring out, how do we want to do it? Here's
Yes.
the money we're bringing in. If you're, working with the kids, then you're not the boss of how these kids are raised. You and I are saying, okay, how do we want to raise these kids? How do we want to feed them? And I see this power play. You know, I run the house and I get to decide how the dishwasher is loaded and how the kids are going to do the chores and what. No, that's not genuine equality. So genuine equality is,
Nope.
listen, we respect each other in every realm,
Yes.
and we're going to do that. The third one is courageous accountability. I cannot even tell you what a problem accountability is in our world. I have a whole course on it, a whole
Yes. I
course
want
on
to talk about this course.
and defensiveness. But courageous accountability is, listen, feedback is a gift, right? If I have the courage to give you feedback, or if my husband has the courage to give me feedback, I damn well better step up and have the courage to take that in.
Correct.
It's giving me operating instructions about how we can interact better. It's giving me information about what's really going on in their head. I don't need to make it
Yes.
up, very clear. It's giving me information also how other people might be seeing and feeling about me. It is a freaking gift. And when you can't take in feedback, you are blocking your growth. You literally make getting to solution in your relationship impossible.
Yep.
So now you're leaving me with a decision. My partner's never accountable. They're always explaining, they're always coming back. Now I start thinking, okay, I've got what I've got. No change is going to happen. Now I have to make a decision from, can I live with this or
Yes.
not? And let me tell you, in my experience, even the people who live with it for a long time, at some point, it may be 5 years out, 10 years out, 20 years out. I'll tell you, at some point they can't and they
Do you
go.
know, as you're talking, I'm reminded, I really would love you to talk to the silent exodus thing that
Yeah.
you were talking about, because you know, we're talking about the point in time when people get to you, which is often someone said they're going to leave, and that, you know, that talk about the silent exodus, because I have seen that so often, again, in relationships around me, but I don't think that I really understood what was actually happening until you use those words.
Yeah. So the silent exodus is, and it's often with women, but I've seen it with men too. They just exit different. I'll tell you how men exit.
Yeah.
But so with women, what they do is they complain, they get sad, they, you know, like, I wish you, you know, I wish you would be here more. I wish you would be here more. Um, but they don't ever actually have a conversation around, this isn't working. This is what I want. If I don't get it, this is what's going to happen. And
Yes.
some women don't say anything. Some women are just, I'm going to nice him into treating me well. And so they get nice. The worse he is, the nicer they get. But then what
But that's how we've
happens
been
is,
conditioned, right? Be
yes,
nice.
totally
Be
conditioned.
nice.
Yes.
Be the peacemaker. Be bloody
Yeah.
blah. Don't challenge
Well,
anyone.
here's the problem with that. One is, you teach people how to treat you. You literally train them to take
Correct.
advantage of you. But then what happens is, at some point, in my experience, women leave a relationship and a marriage about 2 years, 2 to 3 years before they ever walk out. And then when they're like, I'm done, the men are like, what?
What?
What are you talking about? Right? And the
Yeah.
women are like, you know what? I've been unhappy for years. And the men are like, you haven't told me anything. And the men are right, because the women have been either trying to nice them, or they've been like, I wish you would do this, or I wish you do that. Or once in a while they'll blow up, but no real, like, grounded, powerful strength of, this is
Conversations.
what's
Yeah.
up, right? And so then, you know, the women are like mad, because the men are like, oh my God, I'll do anything now. And then the women are like, it's too late. Where were you, you know, a year ago, 10
Yeah.
years ago? The men, when women try to nice men, right, into treating them better, what they do is they just throw gasoline on poor behavior and poor treatment. And at some point, the men just keep taking advantage, taking advantage, taking advantage.
Yeah.
And at some point, and the men keep thinking the women will be there. They'll be there. They'll be, you know, right? She won't take, until the women leave, because it's just that straw that burnt it out.
Yep.
But it's a shock to men because the women never stood up.
Mm.
On the flip side of that, when the women are ragers, or the women are micromanaging or controlling, and the
Oh.
men are super unhappy, the the men aren't saying anything. They're not saying anything either because they're afraid of the women's rage, or they're afraid that no matter how I try to talk to her about her micromanaging, she's going to just say I have it wrong. There's
Yes.
no in there. So what the men do is they often escape through an affair, right? Men can also do that with women who are nicing them to death,
Yeah.
right? Because they lose respect for their wives who are nicing and kind of
Yeah.
mousy, and they end up having an affair with strong women in corporate America they're working with.
That are
Right? You
basically
see the
mailing up.
setup, right? It's like it's a setup, but that silent exodus is really, the person will leave 2 to 3 years before
Yeah.
they actually leave the marriage. They're already stepping out, and they're not having really honest, hard conversations. So
Yeah.
it feels like whiplash to their partner.
Yeah.
And I think
And
actually that's unfair and kind of abusive. Like,
completely.
you
Completely.
yeah, if you're really thinking of leaving, there's no reason your spouse should not know that.
Yeah.
They should
Yeah.
know. And
Exactly.
you should be saying, look, yeah, go ahead.
And all of the oh, he should know this kind of stuff that
Mm-mm.
often happens. I think too, I see the silent exodus sometimes looks like I do more things away from you. I spend more time away from
Yes,
home. I'm connecting with friends and I'm completely ignoring you. That type of like behavioral,
yeah,
like I'm already outside of this relationship in
yeah,
my head. I just
right,
haven't physically moved yet.
right. I
Sorry, I
can't get my
interrupted you
needs
before
met
you got.
here, so I'm going to get my needs met out there.
Correct, exactly.
Yeah.
I interrupted you before you got to the fourth brand pillar, but I just wanted to the silent exodus because I feel like there's going to be people that are listening going, "Oh, I'm actually silently exiting."
Yeah,
Like in my head, I've
yeah,
actually decided it's too hard basket. I'm never going to get my needs met here, but I haven't actually made the decision to have a courageous conversation about any of the things I'm feeling. I'm just
right.
slipping away, quietly into the
Well,
night.
and you know, there's a mentor of mine, he used to talk about psychological patriarchy, not just him, there are other psychological patriarchy. And
Mhm.
one of them, there's this collusion of silence, which is
Mm.
everybody is taught to, there's like a collusion from therapists, from women, even men, don't name the male bad behavior.
Yes.
Don't
Yeah.
name it, don't call it out, either because he's too fragile
Mhm.
and he won't be able to take it,
Yes.
or he's going to be angry
Yeah.
and unsafe.
Mhm.
And so therapists collude with his behavior. Men, right? Men are on a golf course and they're like, somebody's talking really bad or being a jerk, and they'll go and they'll talk to their wives, or they'll talk to
Mhm.
their, what, and they'll be like, "Oh my God, you won't believe what he's saying." But they won't call out the men, right?
Mm-mm.
It's everywhere. And so that accountability, when we don't call out men in general, whether you're a man to man, woman to man, whoever,
Mhm.
mother to son, father to son, when you don't call it out,
Yeah.
like, you rob those men of learning how to be courageously accountable,
Yeah.
which is a
Exactly.
core pillar for them having healthy, connected relationships.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah. Yeah.
another way we rob men of doing that. And women have to learn how to hold everybody accountable,
Yes.
themselves accountable,
Including
other,
themselves.
including
Yes.
themselves. Men have to learn how to hold women accountable, others accountable, and themselves.
Mhm.
Rules for one are rules for everybody.
Yeah.
Nobody
Exactly.
escapes these rules.
Level
Nobody.
playing field.
Level playing field.
Mhm.
Level playing field.
Um, as you were telling me about what happens inside of your course, so you've got a course that is very, very much focused on helping people meet conflict in healthy ways. So not getting defensive, not being passive aggressive, not checking out, not walling up, not, damaging either psychologically or, undermining
Yeah.
people, dismissing people, dismissing,
Yeah.
I don't even know what that word is. Um,
Yeah.
when you think about that course, one of the most powerful things that I remember you talking about is the role plays where you're actually getting people, and often there can be couples in this course, but they're never in the same group when you do these role plays, which I think is very smart.
Yeah.
What happens in the role play? So you gave an example. I'm not sure if you will remember this one, but about the guy driving too fast. Can you
Oh, yeah.
speak to that? Because I think this demonstrates
Yeah.
how blindsided guys are about this when they're never held accountable.
Right.
And then they're, you know, in your role play and they're like, oh shit.
It's really funny. I love this course. Like it's so great because of the power of the group. But so we're in a breakout group, and the exercise was, I want you to think of an incident that happened with you where somebody was giving you feedback and you got defensive.
Yep.
Right. And then I want you to play the other person. Right? So I was role playing with him, and he was playing his wife. And the scenario is they're driving, right? They're driving in the car, and she says, you know, you're driving really fast. I'm getting nervous. Can you not drive so fast? So he tells me this right. I'm her.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's her and I'm him.
Yes.
And my job was to defend. Under no circumstance could I admit to anything.
Yes.
So he's playing. So he's like, honey, you know, you're driving. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I am not doing this. You always do this. I don't want a backseat driver. And then he keeps coming at me and he's like, I'm not. I'm just telling you that I'm uncomfortable. Would you mind not swerving? No, I'm driving. And if you don't like how I'm driving, then maybe you should drive next time. And I just kept going back and forth. And then we did it like 3 or 4 times. And then we stopped. And I was like, okay, so now let's, you know, kind of check, like, how was that for you?
Yeah.
And he goes, oh my God, I totally feel how my wife felt. That's terrible. And so
I feel like there's like a big, like a nut being cracked as you're talking, right?
And so we go back into the big group where everybody joins.
Yes.
And we're like, okay, well, what was that like for you? And they were like, that sucked. That was terrible. That was so hard. And I'm like, why? They're like, because, oh my God, I'm terrible. I'm really defensive. Like, I really am.
Yeah.
My poor like wife or my poor sister or my poor brother, like it wasn't all like couples. It was just
couples,
forever.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, when you are doing that, you're all about protecting me.
Correct.
You're
And sticking to your story.
About building we. Right.
Yeah.
There's nothing about building we here.
No.
And
it's
so
all sorry. Again, the system of oppression. I must win. Therefore, I must have power over. Therefore, I cannot admit that something I'm doing is impacting you in a negative or uncomfortable way.
Exactly. Whether I'm going to do it by dismissing you or explaining why I'm doing or justifying or slowing down and being like, well, fine, I'll just go 60. How's that? Is that better? Right? So all of that is protecting me. Yeah. And it's so damaging to connection.
Yeah.
And
Sorry. I was wanting to talk to, because when you were telling me about these role plays, something else that happens is often the person who comes in, because there's kind of a mix of people in there. There's therapists that are learning skills, but they're not being therapists. They're being individual people, but they're obviously learning a lot of skills about how to deal directly with this sort of thing and not enable the system of oppression that people are trying to actually heal. There's couples, but there's also people like, I'm here because my teenager is defensive, or I have difficulty with, I know that I don't deal with conflict and therefore, you know, have these patterns where I'm pushing away. But what you said to me also was that often the person who thinks that they don't have the problem is defensive, but in different ways.
Well, you know, it was funny because the very first time I did this class, I was doing a free call with Lisa Peterson. And so she and I were kind of talking about it, and I was going through what the things was. And like probably halfway through, she goes, oh my, she was just helping me sell the course, right? She's like, oh my God, Lisa. And I'm like, what? She's like, I'm defensive. I didn't think I was defensive. Oh my God, I'm defensive. And she talked about that on the call, and she talked about that in the course. And so initially, I actually thought more people were going to be signing up for the course who like, my partner's defensive or my kid is defensive and it's driving me crazy and I need help.
Yes.
And what I noticed is that there were a lot of people who were like, oh no, I know I have a problem with defensiveness. I got to do this. And then the ones who did sign up because they thought it was somebody else, they walked away thinking, wow, I'm more defensive than I thought. I didn't realize that either. And this is
Yes.
harder than I thought. Conflict, like working through conflict in a way that actually builds connection, is way harder than I thought.
Yeah.
And so it was a funny, like, little, like, thing that happened that I didn't expect. I didn't know what was gonna happen the first time,
So cool.
It's been really funny,
I
and
definitely, sorry, when I look back to, and we have been talking about this as well, like I've been with my husband for 20, geez, what are we up to? 26 years now, married for 24. But I look back at some of the behavior I had very early on. So we met just after I turned 21. And because I grew up in a house where there was no, like my parents broke up when I was 8. So I didn't really have a memory of any healthy, non-conflict filled relationship, but also then was conditioned to take care of someone else's emotional needs. And so my defensiveness was this awful passive aggressive,
yeah.
well, fine, I don't, like, don't worry
Yeah,
about
yeah,
it, like, like a martyrdom sort of thing. And
yeah,
I don't know how my husband just sort of like, I don't
yeah,
know. He's got such a big open heart that he just stayed the distance with me. But
yeah.
I look back at some of the things that I used to do as a 21-year-old and I just think, oh my God. And I think I just want to reiterate to people listening, like if you're listening going, oh my God, I'm having all these awarenesses, we don't have healthy relating role models. So if
Mm-mm.
you are not doing this or cannot, like hearing things that are like, oh, that's a bit confronting to hear that I'm actually kind of part of the problem. It's not our fault, but it
Right.
is our
Well,
responsibility.
but I would also say it's super empowering. Like, oh my gosh,
Mm,
how did I figure this out? By screwing it up,
yeah, yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so it's super. When you realize, like, changing me changes we. Changing me
Mm,
will change my marriage, changing me will change my children, changing me will change my
yes,
family, changing me will change my life.
yeah,
We focus so much on changing the other person, and we get so damn frustrated. Why? Because we don't have control. So I don't care. I could put a gun up to you,
yeah,
and maybe you'll be like, okay, or you're going to grab the gun from me and
exactly.
turn it on me. I don't even have control of it. Like,
No.
you only have control of your side. So
Mm,
I think takes tremendous courage to humbly look at ourselves
yeah.
and say, okay, Lisa, you're off here. You got to fix that. Okay, Lisa, you're strong here. Good. Work that. Okay, Lisa,
Hmm.
right? And when I don't like an interaction, look, on a good day, I am far from perfect. None of us are going to do this perfectly. However, when you're off, it's super important for you to know and to recognize and to
Yes.
own it.
Yeah.
Listen, what I said was not okay. I'm super sorry that I said that.
That
Woo.
is very strange. My
Right?
Zoom does
Like,
these random things and
I
it's
know they
just
do it all the time.
thumbs down.
Yeah, but I'm super sorry that I did that. And
Yeah.
so we have to stop excusing bad behavior or justifying it or explaining why we did it and
Hmm.
just like own it. I can't even tell you how strong that feels when you're able to do it and how incredibly relational it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just is, you
And I
know?
think you use the words, the damage happens in relationships and, the rupture can be repaired. And I think that that is what I keep coming back to. I think, if I look at my parenting journey, my partnering journey, like I am definitely not perfect. I am pretty good at going, you know what? I completely fucked that up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's where my head was, and here's what I was thinking, and here's the story that I had. Because,
Yeah.
we all live inside of our own little stories about
Yeah.
reality in
Right.
inverted commas.
Right.
I don't want to act like that. I don't want to treat you like that.
Yeah. And here's what
How
I'm
can I
going to
do
do.
better? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Here's what I'm going to do to repair it.
yes, exactly.
Ah, it
Um,
feels so strong and healthy,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. And also, from my perspective, like compared to the walled up version of myself at 21 who was passive aggressive, because to
Right.
me, when someone tried to relate to me, it just felt like responsibility, right? Like you don't
Right.
share your emotions with me because that means I have to take care of you too. Like
Right.
that was actually the pattern that I was in. And so the more that I've been able to just open, the more I actually realize what is and isn't my responsibility. That's been a big
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, that's
But
freeing.
it's so much nicer to be
Yeah.
like relaxed and seen for who you are than have this like protective mechanism driving the show all the time, right? That's exhausting. It's because, like you said before, I don't care, you know, how far you run or how quickly you run, you still have an emotional response. Like you still understand as a human, like, wow, this actually feels really not comfortable in my body.
Right.
Like I'm not loving the fact that I'm continually attacking you to protect myself.
Yeah, it's
Um,
like the ick hangover. It's
it's
like,
awful. Oh,
you
it's
know, in the
awful.
moment it might feel good. It's like, I just blew up. And then after it's like,
Yeah,
now I have that
exactly.
shame and an ick and blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah.
And then
You
it's,
know?
yeah, exactly. Let's talk about the final brand, the pillar of what you teach people. And then let's talk about if approximate dates for your next radical new approach to conflict, if you have them. If not, we will share where to find you on the internet, because then you will be able to get all of the details.
Great.
So humane kindness, I reckon we're up to. Or no,
Yeah.
we've talked about genuine
Humane.
equality.
We
Yes.
talked about genuine equality.
Yes.
Courageous accountability is
Mm-hmm.
number 3. And the
Yep.
last one is humane kindness.
Yes.
Um, we have a problem with bringing our best self and our kindest self out in the world,
Mm.
and we bring our worst self home. And so we think like relaxing
Ah.
at home means that I can be snappy and I can be short and I don't have to pay attention. Um,
Mm.
Humane kindness, right? Give me grace, hold me accountable, right? Compassionate accountability. I have compassion for your struggle while I hold you accountable for it, but I'm going to give you kindness, right?
Yes.
When I see you, I want you to know that I'm glad you're in my life, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's a kind act or a kind word or a kind, deed, whatever. Um, be kind,
Yeah.
be kind.
Mm.
And so on like with strangers, the minimum is respect.
Yes.
And the closer in you are, that humane kindness moves to cherishing.
Cherishing.
Right? You're in my inner circle. You cherish me.
Yeah.
I cherish you.
Yeah.
And it's always, always, always
Yes.
reciprocal. When you are in a radically new relationship, it is not a one-way relationship. There is not one giver and one taker.
Mm-mm.
Everything is reciprocal. Everything
Yeah.
is reciprocal. And so that cherishing goes both ways.
Mm-hmm.
I had an important meeting after. Hey, baby, how'd it go?
Yeah.
I know
Yeah,
you had an
exactly.
important thing, or you were stressed, or you were at the doctor. Hey, are you
Yeah.
nervous about your doctor's appointment? How'd it go? Oh, I'm so glad you're going to be with me for more years. Like,
Yes.
be cherishing.
Oh, again, that beautiful sense in my body of being home. I actually, I had a friend in New Zealand ask me just recently, because I often feel people as like colors of or phrases or textures or whatever, particularly if I'm writing copy for them. And she was like, what color would I be? What color would this person be? What color would that fit? Like just being silly on the
Yeah.
lounge one night, just snuggled up in my lap. And she goes, what color's Shaney? And I said, Shane doesn't have a color, he's just home. And that's that
Oh,
feeling of like, yeah.
yeah.
And
I
I
love
do
that.
feel very very blessed to have that when, yeah, really neither of us had a great example of how we just, I don't know, we just kept coming back to keep open, keep open, keep open, try and be as honest as possible. Geez, that's been a journey, because I think when you grow up in a house where there's very unhealthy relating, you
Mhm.
actually don't necessarily even know how you feel, because you've been conditioned so much, and I
Yeah.
imagine same sort of thing in a house of a rager. Like, you've been conditioned so much to not have certain responses or certain reactions or certain whatever. Like that takes a lot of breaking out of, doesn't it?
Oh, so much. It's funny, like when you talk about passive aggressive, like, with my dad. So when I'm at my worst, that's my edge. My edge is passive aggressive, right?
Yeah.
Because with my dad, I knew don't take him on directly like that would be wrong, right?
Mm,
Don't do that. But I also wanted him to feel my anger, right? So
yes.
I did it by being passive aggressive, right? Because I'm not going to totally let you off the hook, but I'm not so dumb that I'm going to like get myself killed here. And so
Yes.
so with my husband, my poor husband, oh my God.
That's what I always feel.
I'm so young, like he'd be like, are you mad? No.
Yep.
Do you want to talk about it? No.
Oh my
Are
God,
we
that's
okay?
me.
Yeah. Right. I was like, and even like, so I started doing this work and probably 5 years into it, and I was pretty good, but there was like one thing triggered me. And
Mhm.
he's like, are you like not going to talk to me? I'm like, no. And like, I'm in my head, I'm like, Lisa, you are being so passive aggressive right now. You
Mhm.
have to speak. And I said to him, and I know I'm being passive aggressive, and I just can't stop it right now. And so when I can, I will.
I have
And
said that before
uh,
too.
every fiber of my being, like I knew it, I saw it, but I could not get myself out of it. And so, for everybody who's listening, from now until you're 104 years old, your move is your move.
Yeah.
It's just as you start doing the work, it takes way more to trigger that move. It doesn't last as long and it's usually not as intense. But I'm going to
Yes.
be a 90-year-old little lady and I'm going to be passive aggressive if I'm not, if I'm triggered and I'm not being mindful, right? And so give yourself grace.
Uh,
Don't forget courageous accountability.
yeah.
Come back and say, my bad. I was totally triggered. I can only imagine what that was like for you. I'm sure that it was frustrating and you were feeling like really, attacked and distant.
Mm.
You could feel my contempt coming at you. And I just want you to know I'm so sorry. And I'm
Yeah.
really going to work like hell to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yeah. Contempt, far out. Yes, that is a very apt word. Um, as you're talking, I am reminded also that I did like a deep dive in your website, because you have such good, like your weekly newsletter and your blog series that just go into such deep dives. So if people are listening and they're just like, oh, okay, there's something rumbling here where I'm like, oh, this might be something that I want to look at. Where can people find you on the interwebs to get started? And then if you're happy to talk about start dates, if you've got them, let's go down that
Yeah.
track as well.
So website, lisamerlo-booth.com.
Yes.
Easy. No dots, no dashes with my name.
Mm-hmm.
And you can email me if you have questions, whatever. And that's
Yes.
at lisamerlo-booth@gmail.com. And then
Amazing.
the course, the next round is going to start up September 26th.
Perfect.
That'll be the startup, and it's a 6-week course. And
Amazing.
yeah, yeah.
And it's open. It's got a wait list on it, I think, at the moment, hasn't
Yeah.
it? So people
Yeah,
can sign up.
you can go on my site. I mean, it'll say Defensiveness 101. You can go
Yeah.
on, or conflict, I'm not sure. We're shifting the name, but
Yes.
it's,
You'll find
um
it easy.
you'll find it, and you can join the wait list. And there's also an option to just sign up for the course now, and you'll
Yes,
be
perfect.
sent.
Amazing, amazing. I have a couple of people in my orbit that have done the course as well that I'm personally connected to, and they're like, "Oh my God, this is like literally life-changing." Because it opened their eyes to, yeah, one of them in particular was like, "Oh, I didn't think I was the person with the defensiveness stuff. I have just as much defensiveness, but just in different directions."
Yeah.
And I think just being aware is always the first part of change. So coming
Yeah.
back to how we started, we're all swimming in the ocean of the triple threat of clusterfuckery. But it is our responsibility to pay attention. So if you hear things like, oh, look at him, he's a big footballer, or oh, look how pretty she is, or how perfectly behaved, or whatever, like, please just question what
Yeah.
messages we're sending about what the right way of being a man versus a woman is, because, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not
And
just women that are damaged.
yeah, no male bashing, no
Mm-mm.
female bashing. Raise the bar on everybody, right?
Yes.
Raise the bar on everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you have, like, we all have to join in and create a radically new culture, and we got to do that by a radically new paradigm.
Yeah,
So, you know,
100%.
catch it, stop it, shift it, you know.
Yep, yep, yep. And we didn't even get to the on flow. Maybe episode 2 of our chat will be
I know
the
we just went
impact that this
for a
has
long
in workplaces and teams, and like,
time.
because this power
Oh,
over thing doesn't work for any relationship. It's not just the intimate relationships we've been talking about. It's not a good way to parent. It's not a good way to be a boss, run a team, like any of those things. So yeah, the culture change is not just about, yeah, the mum and dad relationships, or the, doesn't have to be parents. It's about every way that we have been taught that it has to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even our political leaders, you have to watch,
Yes.
like, how are they kind? Are they following these pillars? When you're leading a company, one of the things that really drives me crazy with a company is they don't give honest feedback in the moment. That's so damaging. So yeah, it's everywhere. I encourage everybody, think of these 4 pillars in terms of every relationship, every culture you're seeing,
Mm-hmm.
politically, country, all over the world, and don't make excuses for bad behavior. The other thing I would say, like, so important, don't misplace blame. I'm so tired of people misplacing blame.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important. Um, a woman who was raped wasn't asking for it,
No, oh my
right?
God, don't even.
Somebody who was domestic violence, they didn't cause the hit. Always, 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 the person who did the behavior is responsible for the behavior. Watch that language. It's so important, and it plays into an old paradigm that's harming us.
Yeah, 100%. We are definitely going to have episode 2 because there's so many things in what you just said that I want to pull apart, but we are at the end of time. Thank you so much. I knew this was going to be such a rich conversation. I really encourage people, if you are hearing anything that is giving you that feeling in your stomach, like, oh, this is slightly uncomfortable, or I'm slightly confronted, or whoa, there might be something here, head to Lisa's website because there is so much information that you can read straight away, and highly recommend doing the September course because, yes, I hear it is quite transformative. Thank you so much for your time, Lisa.
Thank you. This has been great. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thanks for tuning in to Wild and Finally Fucking Free. I'm Kylie, your host, and given that I know you would have enjoyed this episode, please do us a favor and subscribe, leave a review, and share it with fellow freedom seekers. Remember, being seen in all our mess and magic helps heal ourselves and the world, because the world needs more wild and finally fucking free humans. Have a great day.